Investigating for you. This is Tucson Today, live.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. I'm Sean Mooney.
And I'm Alex Dote. Thanks so much for being with us this Tuesday morning. A driver was arrested in London overnight after a crash outside the House of Parliament. That's still developing this morning after the car slammed into barriers that were extended following the London Bridge attack in March of last year. Several pedestrians are injured, but police say no one is in a life-threatening condition. Police have not identified the driver or said if there was any threat involved in that crash.
And developing in Florida this morning, the driver who shot an unarmed man over a parking space now faces criminal charges. The state attorney's office charged Michael Drecka with manslaughter for the death of Marquise McLaughlin. Security cameras show McLaughlin shoved Drecka, who was arguing with McLaughlin's girlfriend. The sheriff's department did not pursue charges at the time, saying this fell under the stand your ground rule.
It is 6 a.m. time for a check of weather and traffic with Jeff. We might have an exciting day ahead of us.
Yeah, a lot more exciting weather-wise than what we had out there yesterday, which is a big fat nothing burger of storms for Tucson and much of southern Arizona.
That's a thing.
It is a thing. It's a thing
Big fat
now.
nothing burger.
That's what you get at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday, right?
I like it. It's better than boring or, you know.
Just lipstick on a pig.
Yep.
That's all it is.
I like it.
Let's get to your monsoon progress report and see how we're doing rainfall-wise for our summer storm season. Running above average at Tucson International Airport. Just under 4 inches of monsoon rainfall since June 15th. Of course, that factors in the mid-June surprise that we had thanks to the remnant moisture from what was Hurricane Bud. Near normal rainfall for Nogales and above average Douglas, Sierra Vista. Some of us will be adding to these totals heading into the afternoon and evening hours. Right now, high and dry for the morning rush. Muggy as well. We're in the 60s south and east of Tucson, 77 at the airport, 40s up in the White Mountains of Green Lake County. It's currently 78 in Safford. We go 4 out of 10 for the monsoon prediction index. Moderate thunderstorm risk as scattered storms return to the forecast. Those storms should get their start south and east of Tucson this afternoon. Drift toward the Old Pueblo during the evening hours. Prime time for Metro Thunder looks to be about 7 this evening through about midnight. With that 40% chance of afternoon storms, upper 80s daytime highs across much of Santa Cruz, Cochise counties. And again, your 40% chance of Metro Thunder won't come until the evening hours. For the morning rush, we're in the 70s and 80s. Low 90s by lunchtime. Maybe an isolated late day storm, but the main event will arrive after dinner time with daytime highs right on par with where we should be for this time of year. We trend partly cloudy overnight. Your lows bottoming out into the 50s for the mountaintops, 60s and 70s for the valley floors. Let's get a check of the morning rush. Live look outside. This is our News 4 Tucson Skynet cam, Valencia and 12th Avenue. New crash checking into the system here over on the southwest side near Drexel Heights. This just came in minutes ago. I believe this is in a residential area here. Toluca Circle and Capistrano Road. If your travels take you in this direction, plan accordingly. Crash being reported right here. Meanwhile, I-10 and I-19, everything moving along nicely this morning and behaving itself, which is advantageous for you, the viewer, if you're waking up and heading out to work and school early this morning. Volume manageable on I-10 from Ruthroff down to Prince, Congress, and Keno Parkway. Nearly non-existent volume of traffic over on the southeast side if you're heading toward Tucson International Airport. And again, those east and westbound lanes not looking too shabby near the downtown area up to the northwest side. That's a look at your weather and traffic. Sean and Alex, back to you.
All right, Jeff, thank you. The 2018 monsoon storms are hitting southern Arizona hard this year.
News 4 Tucson's Nick Benzant says the governor declared a state of emergency for one southern Arizona town hit hard by water problems.
For the owners and employees of this mammoth restaurant, the last 2 weeks have been more than tough.
Scary, hard.
Their water has either been off or unusable, and while that's cut business by nearly 70%, it's also left them with no way to shower when they get home.
It's hard. More when you have kids. My little one, he need to go to the bathroom. He flushed the toilet, and there's not water in the toilet, and he freaking out.
Water hasn't been the only issue here in Mammoth, though. As you can see by these large piles of dirt, they've also had problems with the roads and with power.
We don't have water one day, and the next day we don't have power.
Arizona officials say the problem started in late July. Monsoon storms damaged roads and saturated the soil. Then, When the dirt shifted, water pipes started breaking, leading to a large-scale system failure that has even affected the fire department's ability to fight fires.
I won't drink the water. We get our water up here at the water fountains.
For now, residents are finding a way to cope, but they're hoping the $200,000 freed up by Governor Doug Ducey's state of emergency will fix the problem.
Help. We need help.
In Mammoth, Nick Van Zant, News 4 Tucson.
The Pima County Sheriff's Department has identified the man who was killed when his car was swept into a wash Sunday night after he drove around barricades. 46-year-old Mark Neely entered the flooded area near Old Nogales Highway and Lumber Street and never came out. Raul Haro, who lives nearby, says he went to look at the running wash when he saw Neely. Neely was in his car on his phone calling for help. Bystanders tried to help him. One says she begged 911 to send help.
We did see everything. We saw the wash taking this gentleman, and he looked at us and he was begging for help. And my husband and another gentleman, wanted to help him so bad. We had a rope in the back of this truck, and I told my husband, get the rope, let's help him.
Rural Metro Battalion Chief John Waka says the conditions were too dangerous to send a crew in after Neely. The car traveled about a quarter to a half mile. It went under a bridge and flipped over, finally coming to a stop.
In Yavapai County, a driver had to be rescued at a low water crossing. Deputies arrived at the Agua Fria River in Dewey and found a 44-year-old woman had climbed through the sunroof with her dog and was on the roof of her car. Rescuers from the Central Arizona Fire and Medical Authority used a bucket carrier and a ladder truck to bring the woman to dry land. The dog swam to shore. The woman was cited for reckless driving and driving with a suspended license.
Time now is 6:06. Plane crash death. Who police say was at the controls when an aircraft slammed into a Utah home.
And no service with bare feet, where an unwanted customer was sent away before he could get in the store. You're watching News 4 Tucson Today. We'll be back.
Investigating for you. This is News 4 Tucson. News 4 Tucson, sponsored by Desert Diamond Casino. Sean Mooney, Alex Dote, and Jeff Beamish. This is News 4 Tucson Today.
Police in Utah say the pilot who died when his plane crashed into the home was the homeowner. Dwayne Youd was arrested just hours before the crash for domestic violence. Investigators say he crashed the plane that belonged to the company he worked for. Youd's wife and her children were inside the home at the time, but were not injured. 40 families in Yemen buried their children together in a mass funeral.
Thousands turned out for their ceremony. The children were killed when their bus was hit by an airstrike last week. That attack came from a Saudi-led coalition of Sunni Muslim countries trying to restore the government there. A Saudi spokesperson says the strike was meant to kill rebel leaders.
A liquor store in Connecticut refused service to someone who tried to enter the store.
The employees locked the doors. Surveillance video shows a bear trying to walk into Crazy Bruce's Discount Liquor in Bristol. I love that name. 2 employees raced to lock the doors to keep the animal out. One customer didn't even notice the bear and was swept inside before the bear could react, thankfully. The bear eventually ran off, still sober. I still like the idea that he was there for some Tennessee honey whiskey.
Well, you know, there is a bear vodka as well.
Is there? We might have done some research.
We'll never know.
Break.
A family is still in shock. What led up to a man taking his own life by crashing into his own home.
You're watching News 4 Tucson Today. We'll be right back.
News 4 Tucson, sponsored by Train Masters.
All right, quarter past the hour, scenes out of Pennsylvania from yesterday. A lot of rainfall in the northeast, and that rainfall continues out there this morning. Strong line of thunderstorms creating flash flooding issues with cars driving through some of that flood water, and also low-lying areas evacuated as a precaution.
That's really deep
That
to be driving through.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it.
Do you think it just rains all the time there? You think they're more used to it, or?
Well, they've seen several rounds of showers and
That's
thunderstorms
true.
over the last week or so. So the
Wow.
ground really can't take much more water. So basically you sneeze and it floods.
Well, and it's just a matter of inches before your car can.
How many inches is it again?
6 inches of rushing water can knock us off our feet, and about a foot to 2 feet of water can float most vehicles.
And people don't realize your tires actually become flotation devices. That's make it even
for all the wrong
easier
reasons.
For
of
that
course.
Yeah, exactly.
So, hey, our storm chances going up today as we go outside. This is our Simply Bits cam over at 22nd and Park, looking off toward the east. Mostly sunny, waking up, heading out the door, muggy as well, upper 70s as you're heading out here for the airport, Oro Valley, Marana, and our KVOA studios just north of downtown. Here's why we're ticking up our storm chances. We have high pressure sitting near the four corners, and you combine this with the tag team of increasing monsoon moisture and a mid-level disturbance moving in our direction should lead to a decent bet for scattered thunderstorms heading into the afternoon and evening hours. We definitely have the moisture and the steering winds aloft, strong enough to push these storms from the mountains into the valley floors, and I think we have enough energy to get scattered storms here in Metro Tucson. One limiting factor for storms today is how much energy we're going to have heading into the afternoon and evening hours. If we can get a sufficient push from storms off to the east heading into this evening, could be game on for the monsoon here in eastern Pima County. Again, it's going to take some lift to tap into all that energy in the atmosphere. Latest rapid refresh model kind of is in line with our forecast thinking here. Storms off to the south and east this afternoon, moving into Metro Tucson during the evening hours. Prime time for Metro Thunder, 7 this evening through about midnight, and a few storms could be on the strong side, producing locally heavy rainfall, gusty winds, and blowing dust. Moderate threat for each of those, and we have bumped up that monsoon prediction index now 5 out of 10 here in Tucson. Some of us getting rain, some not, but a much better chance of showers and thunderstorms versus what we had out there yesterday. 97 your daytime high with that 50% chance of Metro Thunder. Scattered storms possible tomorrow through Friday, but those rain chances start to drop off heading into the weekend and early next week as dry air starts to work into the atmosphere. As we dry out, we heat up and we start flirting with triple-digit territory this weekend and early next week. Let's get a check of the morning rush. Live look outside with our News 4 Tucson Skynet cam. Takes us to Broadway and Wilmot, our perch atop the Nova Financial Center. Your eye on the interstate looks good out there this morning as we are crash-free, incident-free, I-10, I-19. Volume ticking up on the interstate system near I-10 and Congress, but overall nothing really slowing you down as you're heading from the northwest side toward the crossing and I-10 and Keno Parkway. That's your weather and traffic. Sean and Alex, back to you.
Thank you, Jeff. A man arrested on allegations of domestic violence later flies a plane into his family's home.
Andrew Spencer reports the plane crash happened just hours after the man was released from jail.
This fireball and the sound of a crashing plane woke the neighbors of a family in Payson, Utah early Monday morning. 47-year-old Dwayne Youd, a professional pilot, had crashed a small plane into his own home. This is his mugshot, taken hours before the crash. He was bailed out of jail not long after midnight. About 2 hours later, surveillance video showed the Cessna 535, owned by the construction company Youd worked for, leaving Spanish Fork Airport. Youd's wife and son were both inside the house when the plane hit it. Neither of them were hurt, but Youd died in the crash.
He was an amazing man and would do absolutely anything for anyone.
Youd's daughter Jocelyn drove up from Arizona after hearing the news.
He's being portrayed as not in a positive light, and it's really hard and upsetting to hear this because he's not this person that's being portrayed.
Payson police confirm there had been domestic violence disputes at the home in the past. There was another on Sunday. Police say witnesses saw Youd hitting his wife.
They had been drinking. He assaulted her.
All of it a situation his kids are struggling to process.
He was in a lot of pain. He was hurting.
I just think about all the things that I'm going to miss with him, and I'm just going to miss having my dad.
Andrew Spencer, News 4, Tucson.
August is National Breastfeeding Awareness Month.
But how accepting are people of mothers breastfeeding in public? Kendra.
Sean, Alex, coming up, I'll tell you the story of a Tucson mom who nursed her babies in public and got some negative feedback, plus what the law says about it. The time right now is 6:20. You're watching News 4 Tucson Today.
Investigating for you. This is Tucson Today, live.
Welcome back, everybody. Time now is 6:23.
And thanks for being with us this morning. The month of August is National Breastfeeding Awareness Month.
It was created to normalize and promote breastfeeding. News 4 Tucson's Kendra Hall is here with how moms feel about breastfeeding in public here in Tucson. Morning, Kendra.
Good morning, Sean, Alex. I talked to several moms in Tucson who say they've experienced both positive and negative comments while breastfeeding. The negative ones coming from both men and women, and they say it can be discouraging. Melissa Leon nursed all 3 of her children. She says it was great for her baby's health, but the experience wasn't all positive.
Most of the places that you go to breastfeed don't have nursing rooms, and so you're forced to breastfeed in public. You know, I'm not going to take my babies into a dirty bathroom when they're newborns and there's germs. And I'm not going to sit in a hot car and breastfeed them.
Leon says when she would nurse in public, she would get dirty looks from people, even when she was covered up.
I guess some people just think that it's something that's gross that shouldn't be done in public. But when you're out in public with babies and you don't have the option of giving them a bottle because they won't take it, then you're forced to breastfeed in public.
We talked to the owners of Milk and Honey in Tucson. They're working to normalize breastfeeding and say it's a big issue in America.
I think we over-sexualize women and breasts, and so that's a lot of times people can't get past seeing a woman with her breasts exposed. But if you go to the beach or the pool, you're going to see a lot more skin than as you would if a mom was breastfeeding her baby in public.
Arizona law does not consider breastfeeding as indecent exposure.
If a mom does or doesn't want to wear a cover, that's up to her. She doesn't have to, and I feel like moms should just do what they feel comfortable doing. The more women do it, the more we're going to desensitize our community.
And Milk and Honey offers a weekly support group for mothers. You can check our website for that info. That's KVOA.com. Sean, Alex, back to you guys.
Thank you, Kendra. It is now 6:25, ready for the spotlight. Wildcats quarterback Khalil Tate is ready to shine his junior year for Arizona.
Your morning sports is just ahead. Don't move. You're watching News 4 Tucson Today. We'll be right back.